Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Scott Luton and Kevin L. Jackson with you here on Supply Chain. Now,
Yes.
welcome to today's live stream. Kevin, how you doing today?
Yes, sir. I'm doing fine. But woke up this morning to snow on the ground. You know what that is, right?
I had to relearn what it is. It's been a little while since we had some down in Georgia that hung out for more than an hour. Is
Well,
it?
I
Is
woke
it?
up. I woke up. It was about 2 inches. It wasn't a lot, but I still was just relishing when I got up and I looked out the window to white, and I inhaled my Colombian, and I said, I don't need to go out there.
Good. That means you don't have to shovel it because I tell you, just
Right.
an inch, much less 2 inches of snow or precipitation, that wipes out my ability to drive, Kevin. I don't know about you, but I lose it, much like many of other Georgians down here, maybe folks across the Southeast. But hey, we got big things to talk about here today, Kevin. Big things.
Hmm.
It is a special edition of The Buzz, which comes at you every Monday at 12 noon Eastern time, folks. But today, it's the Digital Transformers edition, which takes place every second Monday of each month. So today, Kevin and I are going to be discussing a variety of news and developments today across global business with a big extra helping of all things technology. And hey, we want to hear from you. So give us your take in the comments, like T Squared's already doing, Amanda's already doing. Give
They're
us your
up
take there.
already.
Hey, they're up. They must have some of that nice Colombian coffee like you, Kevin. And hey, folks, if you're listening to the podcast replay, we usually drop the Buzz replays on Fridays. Come join us live. We'd love to hear from you live. You can on LinkedIn or YouTube or some other social media channel of your choosing. We'd love to hear from you. And one last request, Kevin. One
Hmm.
last request we want to bake into this is if y'all like the show, folks, if you like the show, hey, share it with a friend. We'd love to have them join us and give us their take on some of the biggest news stories of the day. Kevin, how's all that sound in your ears?
Everyone is friend, and today is really special because it is Martin Luther King Jr. Day.
Well, you're absolutely right, Kevin, and that's exactly where we're going to start. I think what a wonderful we've as I was saying in the pre-show, we've almost made this, Kevin, a bit of a tradition uh, to have a live stream on MLK Day and dive into his powerful legacy, his family's powerful legacy
Hmm.
on Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and that's where I want to start. So, and I love this shot. And if folks, if you're
Yeah.
listening to us and you don't see the visual, let me paint a picture for you. So, in Washington D.C., in front of the Lincoln Memorial, where Martin Luther King Jr. Um, had his iconic "I Have a Dream" speech. They've got it imprinted, carved into the marble, exactly where he was. And there's this beautiful sunrise shot with the Washington Monument out front and the mall and everything. So
Mm.
what a gorgeous picture. But Kevin, when we
Yes.
think about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day each year here in January, what are a couple of thoughts that come to your mind each year?
Well, MLK Day is really the only federal holiday designated as a national day of service. So we all should honor Dr. King's legacy by working towards a more just and equitable society, especially in this election year, where everyone, we need to value everyone and respect everyone, regardless of their race, ability, religion, or background. So, so by using this time to participate in service projects, we can really bridge divides, heal wounds, and create the lasting change that will benefit our communities for years to come. And that's I think that's what we all should be thinking about on this wonderful day.
Kevin, what a great way. Thank you for sharing very eloquent and intriguing comments there. And I would just add to that, I was over on the website for the King Center, right? And I think they
Mm.
had a live stream earlier today about 10 a.m. Eastern time. I'm sure folks, y'all can find that on demand. But I was struck with what was emblazoned across the top of the website. It starts with me.
Mm.
And it sounds simple, but Kevin, I think that simple phrase goes back to what you were sharing because all of us have a daily, if not an hourly, conscious decision to make. Am I going to be part of the problem, or am I going to be part of the solution and bring everybody, regardless of their walk of life, provide opportunities for all, create a better society, a better, not to be too cheesy, but a better world for all. And all of us have that decision to make at least every single day. So, what decision
Yeah.
will you be making here in the new year? Kevin, your quick response, and we're going to keep on moving.
Yeah, one thing, I mean, MLK is a U.S. national holiday, but it really is a global society, and I just want to highlight that our global audience. I mean, it's not just for us in the United States to have these thoughts and to focus on building our society, our global society, and this is even more important in today's technology filled world where we are connected 24/7, 365.
That's right.
So, and with that, I want to thank our audience for being with us on this special day.
Yeah, agreed, agreed. And as I like what Amanda says here. Amanda says that she read today that MLK Day is not a day off, but a day on, and that's kind of what
Yes.
Kevin and I both are suggesting. Okay, thank you for sharing, Kevin. T Squared, as we mentioned, he's got the jump. He says, "Bring on the New Year's nourishment with a cup of hot chocolate because the snow is here." So he lives up in your neck of the woods, Kevin. All right, so we're going to do just that, T Squared, and great to have you here. I want to bring this graphic because one of the things that all of our audience will certainly, hopefully, know about us is we want to be a constant source for practical resources that are going to help you navigate the tough days and months ahead. And with that said, is our almost weekly newsletter, and we dropped that over the weekend. I think it was edition number 63, Kevin. And as y'all might imagine, of course, we spoke about a neat backstory to the I Have a Dream speech. I'm not going to spoil it, but it might just involve someone suggesting to Dr. King, tell him about the dream, Martin. Such a great, neat little backstory there. We also offered up news and resources from our friends at Windward. So y'all check that out. Kevin, you're laughing. Are you laughing about, hey, let me in the inside joke. What's the inside joke, Kevin?
No, I was just thinking about down on the National Mall at Monument. I mean,
Yes.
when it was first released, there was a lot of real, I guess, dislike on the
Really?
Monument when it first came out. But it's what sort of struck me is how it has grown, and now look at that picture you show. It just
Yep.
looks so majestic,
Yes.
right? So I love that at that monument. So if you ever come to Washington D.C., you should definitely go downtown and check it out.
Oh, Kevin, what a great tip. It might sound like an obvious tip, but there's so much to see in Washington D.C. You got to make the MLK Monument at the top of your list. When we went last spring, Kevin, they got all the cherry blossom trees kind of around where the monument is, and it was a gorgeous, 65 or 70 degree day. And it really, when you have a setting like that and such a majestic, imposing, I guess I'll call it, big monument, it
Yeah.
really helps you really think about it really challenges all the assumptions and all the stories we've heard, timelessly about Dr. King, and really makes you think about it in a new mindset, which I think is so important with historical figures like Dr. King. Your final thoughts, and then we're going to jump into the first story here today, Kevin.
So the one thing that really stuck me about Dr. King is he is a real person, right? In my life, all of the people that you revere, they're either long gone or they're myths, right?
Right.
But I was alive when Dr. King was alive. I was alive when I remember the day that he was assassinated. I remember the watching the I Have a Dream speech on television, right?
Wow.
So it's something that I've felt in my life, something that's real, and it's important to realize that society is changed and improved by the acts of real people like you. So,
That's right.
like
Man,
everyone.
Kevin. Wow. All right. So, folks, remember, we'll just to cap this off, and not to cap it off, but at least for this portion of the program, because this is a full day, it's a full year, but it starts with each and every one of us making that conscious decision. So, thank you all, everyone, for being here today on Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day. All right. So, Kevin, we've got a lot to get into here today, a lot to get into. And by the way, folks, we did drop the With That Said link. Make it easy for you. We dropped it in the comments. You're one click away from checking out that almost weekly newsletter. Kevin, I want to start with this first story here.
All
This is
right.
going to give us plenty of stuff to talk about. So almost 1,500 business leaders were asked by the World Economic Forum about what risks they thought would cause a crisis on a global scale in 2024. Okay. Surprising to many of us, at least maybe I'll just say surprising to me, cyber attacks barely made the top 5 responses. So Kevin, I'm going to share the top 8, and we're going to drop the link so folks can check out the rest of the stuff. And then, Kevin, I'm going to get your take here, okay?
Yeah.
And this is from our friends over at the Visual Capitalist. That's a great resource, folks, to add to your Rolodex. All right, so number 1, extreme weather. That was what 66% of the business leaders, that was their number 1, right? Extreme weather was going to wreak havoc across the world. Number 2, AI-generated misinformation or disinformation. Number 3, societal and or political polarization. That's a good one. Number 4, cost of living crisis. I know our dollars don't go quite as far as they used to.
Yeah.
And then number 5, Kevin, cyber attack snuck in number 5. And I would just add, I think we should move that up. But I think it's a good discussion point. Forbes says that $9.5 trillion will be done in damage to the world in 2024 by cyber bad actors. 9.5 trillion. Wow. All right. Back to the list. Number 6 is an economic downturn. We've spoken about that endlessly. Number 7, disrupted supply chains for critical goods and resources. And number 8 is certainly a fear of mine, an ongoing fear of mine. And that is an escalation or outbreak of armed conflict. Okay, Kevin, that's just a top 8 things on that list.
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
Well, first of all of these things have been with us for a while. Like none of it is new. The question is, what do we do about it? And one thing that I think that people don't realize, number 3 there, societal and political polarization. Did you realize that 2024 is the biggest year in history for national elections? The major countries in the world that are voting for their leaders. Like the Russian elections in March, they just had the Taiwanese election yesterday, the U.S. election, of course, and the interactions of all these countries, they're at war in many cases, right? And this list probably could have been made any year, but this year particularly, they are all so linked together. And unfortunately, there's a large swath of the population that doesn't believe in like extreme weather and climate change, don't believe that's a thing. And I think this AI generated misinformation is really contributing to the fact that we don't believe science. Many people don't believe science anymore.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it is scary, but it's also a call to arms. That's to be sensible and to contribute
Well said. And it all starts with me. That's going to be a common theme, just like the common themes you were talking about that weave in amongst all of these
Yes.
big threats. That's going to be another common theme for today's conversation. So I appreciate your thoughts here, Kevin. And I'll tell you what, I am praying, hoping, wishing that 2024 can bring peace and prosperity and cooler heads and success around the globe
Yes.
to our audience members everywhere. Okay, Kevin, this second story is going to be a lot more positive, right? I'm
We're
hoping
going to the
so.
lighter side.
And by the way, I see Helene, Eno. Let's see here. I saw Andre was with us here. T Squared, of course, Amanda, Catherine. Hey, let us know what your take is, whether we're talking risk or any of these stories here. We'd love to share. All right. So moving from disastrous predictions to more practical optimism, this article here from App Inventive. I'm going to share this graphic here, Kevin. So this is good news. Supply chain teams, as we know, right, and as we do really in many cases around the world, are leveraging technology in old and new exciting ways to solve
Yeah.
problems and overcome obstacles. So Kevin, tell us more.
Well, we was talking about the daily news, right? And it really elevates the need for companies to really embrace technology and technology-led supply chain management. And these solutions are really needed in order to handle these challenges there's the probability of new shocks to the global systems and wars and conflict really can't be overlooked. The fact that every crucial commodity, in fact, the human commodity and material commodity is scarce and expensive. This leads to complexities and shortages. Air and sea freight prices have really gone through the roof. This makes it challenging for companies to move freight at high capacity. The bottlenecks, both in shipping and in receiving, has led to additional time required for importing and exporting operations. And we are globally connected commerce, okay? And this disrupts not only international supply chains, but domestic supply chains. And also and this is a weird one.
Okay.
You look back at the shutdown in 2020 that affected the suppliers' network data,
Right.
and the way how businesses changed so dramatically in 2021 in order to adopt digitalization efforts as people were shut in, and the whole process change of how to order and deliver products and services worldwide. That actually resulted in basically the elimination of all benchmarks for supply chain leaders,
Right.
because nothing is the same anymore. And historically, supply chain leaders have looked at the past as a way of predicting what they needed to do today and for the future. So that's not there anymore. So it's like they're groping around because they don't have that.
In the
don't
dark.
know what
Got our eyes shut.
groping around in the dark. Okay. But all of these things, the answer is in adopting new technology. You got to adopt new technology in the supply chain, and don't be afraid. And this article really lists the technologies that you should consider.
Yeah, excellent. I love that, and I love the sound effects there, Kevin. That made it very majestic and dramatic. So y'all check that out. Amanda has dropped the link to this blog article via our friends at App Inventive there in the chat. I want to just add a couple of comments to Kevin's. Lots of opportunities, especially leveraging technology, leveraging circularity, more circularity thinking. I read over the
Yes,
weekend.
sustainability is critical.
That's right. I read over the weekend. We all have heard, probably, Kevin. I bet our audience, which is the smartest audience in all of the land, has probably heard this and know this. China has a huge leg up when it comes to domestically producing rare earth minerals, right? Which, of
Hmm.
course, modern technology leans heavily on. Well, I read over the weekend, recent research suggests that here in the U.S., which the U.S. and the EU are the biggest, and China are the biggest users of rare earths, that the U.S. could uh, ramp up its domestic ability to meet as much as 40% more of our rare earth mineral needs if we
Oh,
just embraced more circular thinking, Kevin, right? So that's a massive opportunity. A couple that you
well, one
mentioned.
thing,
Go ahead, Kevin.
yeah, the one thing along with that, though, have you heard that there was a huge, I mean, huge, massive lithium deposit found along the Nevada-Oregon border?
Really?
And that's one of the biggest raw materials for batteries. Okay,
Okay.
and China has very large lithium reserves. This deposit is estimated to contain between 20 and 40 million metric tons
Wow.
of lithium with unsurpassed and unprecedented quality, and that surpasses any other previous find. So, you know, new new discoveries like this could really change uh, the paradigm when it comes to rare earths
Agreed. Talk about
elements.
that really changes the Oregon Trail. Maybe we got a new edition of the Oregon Trail video game coming out. And maybe old Tyler Ward's up there surveying a little pickaxe looking for big deposits.
Yeah,
He's up in his
exactly.
neck of the
We'll go
woods.
mining. Go get some lithium, man.
But so, we're talking about overcoming challenges, leveraging technology, leveraging new ideas. But really, circularity is an old idea that folks are just, generally speaking, have been slower to embrace. Automation. We've talked about automation for years, right?
Hmm.
But I'm excited about how automation doesn't replace your current talent. It augments. It helps make them their job easier. It allows, we've talked
Right.
time and time again. You automate the blocking and tackling and free up the human factor to do bigger and better things, right? And
It's the difference between creating robots and creating cobots,
yes,
right?
Kevin. Yes, Kevin. And in order to realize that opportunity, I'm gonna go back to something you shared at the end of your initial response, and that is adoption. I think oftentimes we see it time and time again with all the technology projects and initiatives and
Yeah.
you name it that companies are implementing. Adoption and what practically is going to move the needle there and allow the workforce to truly adopt the technology project of the day, du jour, or what have you. That is so
Hmm.
important because if the workforce doesn't adopt it and doesn't see what's in it for me, which we talk about a lot, we're going to basically write a big old check and get very limited or no return. Kevin, your last thought, and we're going to move
Yeah.
to the next story.
Well, the keep thinking. I think that's the most important part of anyone. You have to keep thinking and always be open to change because
That's right.
change is constant and continuous, and we all are going to the future together. So
That's right.
we have to keep the minds open.
That's a great tip. And here's another one: buy some land up in the Pacific Northwest. Be a part of that big old lithium
The
deposits.
lithium, yep.
All right. So we've dropped a link to the first two articles there. Let's see here. Mary Kate Love, great to see you. Mary Kate says the circular economy is so exciting to think about. That's right. And Kevin, of course, Mary Kate Love, the founder of National Supply Chain Day here in the U.S. Right. So we're in the midst of celebrities here. Kevin, did you know that?
Oh, I'm awed actually.
Me and you both. Me and you both. And then we got a couple comments about the first article where we listed some of these risks. I'll cover those here.
Yeah.
before we move forward. T Squared says, with all those risks coming that we were talking about earlier in the first story, overarching risk hedging supply chain management may become the norm for all products. I absolutely think. I think risk management, as we've talked about for it feels like millennium, Kevin.
Yeah.
Risk management has always been inherent in successful supply chain management. It is the job, some would say, right? However, it's really interesting to see bigger investments and more attention and priority that business leaders are giving to the holistic approach to risk management. Your thoughts there, Kevin?
It's about the pendulum. We have to avoid the reactive pendulum decisions, right?
That's right.
Everything in moderation. You don't go all offshore and all onshore and go back all offshore again, right? You have to have a little offshore. You got to have a little near shore. You got to have onshore.
That's right.
And you have to have that moderation in all things that you do.
Yes. Resist the knee jerk. Resist the knee jerk reaction. We got to mitigate that. And then Andre makes a great point here, Kevin. I love this point. Andre says that back on that list of top 8 that we covered of risks to global damage, number 1, Andre says, should be a lack of holistic and critical thinking. I think that's a great comment there, Kevin.
Did we say something about that earlier? Absolutely. Thank you.
You got to be
Andre.
thinking. That's right.
Got to be thinking.
And Mary Kate is reminding us National Supply Chain Day is indeed April 29th here, 2024. I'm looking forward to celebrating that with Mary Kate and Kevin and the whole team.
Big party.
Right. Woohoo! Big party. That's right. Open bar for that party, Kevin, is what I hear.
Oh,
open
I'm
bar.
There. I'm there.
All right, folks, let's cover a neat resource that's coming up. Talking about innovative ways tech is helping supply chain leaders do big things and do big things differently. Hey, come check out a neat live event on January 24th, where Kevin and I are going to be hosting Ami Daniel with Windward. Now, Windward's doing some really cool things. We're going to be talking about how we can better leverage AI to conquer all sorts of ocean shipping challenges. And as you might expect, Kevin and all of y'all out there, we're going to be diving into the Red Sea situation in particular. Kevin, I think we're approaching 700 folks that are set to join us thus far for this live event. Should be a good conversation, huh?
Oh, yeah, I'm absolutely looking forward to it. And the Red Sea is a critical waterway. I've spent some time there.
Yes, right.
So I think it's important. During the tanker war, I did a lot of work there. So it's really important for us to understand the importance of these vital waterways.
I love that, Kevin. And we're going to dive into deep. I mean, Windward and the team are doing some big things there to change the game a bit. And also on a personal note, let me pull this graphic back up. You see Ami there, Kevin.
Yeah.
Y'all have something in common. Ami served in the Navy, I think the Israeli Navy. And of course, you spent time as a naval aviator. So I think we're going to share all kinds of experiences across the seas, the 7 seas, Kevin. So I'm looking forward to this one.
I spent some time in Israel as well. I was as guest of the Israeli Navy, and one of highlights of your life, floating in the Dead Sea.
Man,
and going to Masada. That was a great trip.
Wow, I love your stories, and we've talked a lot of them, especially where that one stint, part of your time in the Navy, you were kind of a military diplomat, I'll call it. And you were meeting all kinds of movers and shakers across the world. So stay tuned, folks. Some of those stories and a lot more about ocean shipping and how to better manage ocean shipping, leveraging modern and cutting edge technology. Join us on January 24th. And Amanda has already dropped the link. You're one click away. Y'all check that out. Okay, Kevin, back to our third story here today. And I love this headline here. So this comes to us from our friends over at Curvo. Get this, digital transformation increases the value of supply chain workforce. I agree with that. So Kevin, tell us a whole bunch more here.
This statement is true no matter what industry you are discussing. But this article actually focuses on healthcare, which is kind of a shift where data as a service has emerged as a solution that brings a pipeline of enriched, normalized data to supply chain analysts and others. And this quality enriched data is also essential to building engagement between clinicians and the supply chain workforce. See, you never didn't know I was going there. Where it did. So digital transformation changes the dynamics between supply chain, physicians, and device companies, giving more power than ever before to the data-driven supply chain workforce. So bid and contract management are ripe for digitalization. And in many hospital enterprises, that's already underway. Thoughtful and purpose-built solutions for the medical supply chain shorten contract cycles. It reclaims staff hours, it spreads efficiencies, and it makes us all healthy. So be healthy, have a great supply chain.
I
Use
love that.
technology.
That's right. Well, it's so interesting, Kevin, and I love the intersection of supply chain and healthcare. It's a critical one. We have been, I think we kicked it off in 2023, our healthcare supply chain leadership series, and we've met with some
Yeah.
CSCOs really across the country and learn more about what they face as they bring more supply chain management thinking and best practices and proven best practices and new practices into a really a long-standing, and I hate to call it traditional, but the healthcare
Yeah.
industry, right?
They're
'Cause
slow to adopt technology, very slow.
yes, and Kevin, of course, one of the big reasons why they are slow to adopt is because literally lives are at stake, and they've got to make sure the decisions and the change they embrace, given those risks, are the right ones. That's a great comment, Kevin.
Yeah, but
But
notice how fast during the pandemic they were able to embrace technology. And what was holding them back was really a lot of the outdated laws and regulations that could be eliminated with a stroke of a pen.
that's right,
So I don't think it's that healthcare as an industry abhors technology or change. It's just that once again, it's risk management. How do
right.
you manage that risk? And the legal industry is trying to protect all uh, while managing the risk. So it's everyone's trying to do the right thing. It's
Right.
just difficult sometimes.
No, I don't disagree. And I also want to make sure sometimes I use the wrong words, Kevin, and it messes up what I'm trying to communicate. I think healthcare in many ways are a great shining example of how to embrace technology. And because uh, they have to do it out of necessity. If you look at the States, if you look at other parts of the world and population shifts, here in the States, of course, we've got a bigger demand being placed on healthcare because of generational transfer and stuff, right? In
Mhm.
places like across the African continent, Kevin, you and I have had some conversations here. Just access to healthcare in some of the more rural and isolated places, that's a big part of the challenge. And there's aspects of both of those challenges globally, right? But Kevin, I
Yeah,
am
telehealth has really gone a long way to support that access to healthcare in rural areas, especially across the continent.
that is right. So going back to this article which started the discussion, for as much as successful digital transformation increases the value of the organization or the product or certainly
Mhm.
supply chain performance, I love this central premise because it brings more value to the workforce and the human factor, and it's a wonderful force multiplier of the impact that the human factor can have in supply chains and everywhere else within the organization. Kevin, I'll give you the last word here.
More technology and supply chains make you healthy.
I love it. Like a tagline. Ta-da, ta-da, all right.
Ta-da.
So this last article we're going to tackle here today, Kevin, this is an interesting one.
Mhm.
And this comes out from our friends over at CNN. So I'm going to unpack this a little bit, trying to stick to the facts. And then, Kevin, I'm going to get you to respond to some of the ways that maybe
Okay.
AI and technology is being positioned in terms of their impact and whatnot. So, all right. So again, folks, we're going to keep it real. This last story kind of runs a little bit counter to our third story. So CNN ran this report over the weekend, and it focuses here on tons, unfortunately, of layoff announcements that have come in the first couple of weeks of the new year. To put it fair, maybe it has a lot of folks wondering about any correlation between the layoffs and employment in general, as it might be correlated to the continued rise of AI. So here's some of the facts. Google, Amazon, Discord, Unity Software, and other tech companies have announced at least 5,500 layoffs in the last week or two. Going back to 2023, it's been reported that over 260,000 technology professionals were laid off last year. But the job cuts aren't only impacting the tech world. Financial dynamo Citigroup, cutting some 20,000 jobs recently announced. Now, to be fair, it's really important to look at things in the right context. There's a number of factors, right, including the rapid hiring practices during the pandemic. So many of these same companies can meet demand. Lots of different factors that roll up to these really difficult decisions. However, in 2023, at least some companies like IBM and Dropbox, well, frankly, they pointed to the powerful evolution of AI, and they stated, Kevin, business leaders got to think much different. They got to revisit their approach to staffing. Now, I want to finish on a high note here. This is really important. So, folks, y'all listen up, because sometimes negative mindsets and the negativities that some out in the news and the media can apply to modern technology. Y'all listen to this. So, technology revolutions over the course of human history, they have displaced workers, but they've also created all sorts of jobs and opportunities. The World Economic Forum, Kevin, the WEF predicts that AI may replace 85 million jobs by the year 2025, but that AI will create an estimated 97 million new jobs by the same year. So by my count, and I grew up in South Carolina, so y'all double check my math, but that means that's a net gain of about 12 million new jobs, Kevin. Your thoughts?
Yeah. So let's step back and open the aperture a bit. Okay. This year, we were just talking about risk management. And earlier, we talked about the fact that many major countries are going through major political elections this year. So if you are a company trying to operate in a global environment, you want to minimize your risk, because not only are you going to have this political change, but there's huge economic change. People are still talking about maybe a recession in this year. So no company is going to jump out in 2024 and hire up. Okay. So and technology, there's always a transition where people doing old jobs are going to fade away, get laid off. They're going to get reskilled, and then they're going to come back in these new positions. One of the fastest growing positions is AI prompt engineering.
Yep.
Figure out how to create and fashion prompts so that you can get the answers you need from AI. Transitions take time. So 2024 is a transition year. You're going to see these things, expect these things, but know.
Kevin, I was listening intently. We may have lost your mic just on the tail end as you were spiking the football, Kevin. All right. I I think we got you back.
We're going to get through this. And on the other end, we're going to get through this. And on the other end, we're going to be better for it.
I love that. I love that. And, Andre makes a great point. We need to talk more about causation out there, because as Andre says, just because two elements occur at the same time does not mean one caused the other. Excellent point. Excellent point.
Right.
All right. So Kevin, a couple last thoughts here before we wrap here today.
Yes, sir.
I like messing around with Chat GPT. Me and probably tens of millions of people around the globe. So I posed the question to Chat GPT: how many jobs will AI create in the next couple of years? And I posed it to Chat GPT about 7 times, and I could never get a straight numerical answer. But one of the tidbits I did get, Kevin, check this out. PwC.
This is not artificial intelligence; it's human intelligence.
It's right. I think I'm hopefully illustrating that. But PwC came out with some research. Here's another data point I think is interesting. PwC estimates that AI could contribute up to $15.7 trillion to the global economy by 2030. So between that number, and research is research, folks, there's no guarantees, but between that number and the 97 million new jobs by 2025, Kevin, I think that is part of the story that we don't hear enough about in this age, in this day of change. Folks, if you volunteer, if you lean into your role, if you learn new things, if you like those prompts that Kevin was talking about, if you're of that ilk and of that mindset, this technology revolutionary period that we're in is going to create lots of opportunities. On the flip side, unfortunately, we're going to keep it real. If you don't like learning new things and you like doing the same thing hour after hour after hour, folks, you are going to be at risk. That's just how technology evolves. Kevin, your last thought here about AI, jobs, and what lies ahead.
Like I said, change is constant. Okay. So, and it's continuous, and we have to roll with it. So look forward to the future, because it's bright for us all.
That's right. And it's coming whether you like it or not. All right. So Kevin, really have enjoyed walking through these 4 stories here today. Really enjoyed your perspective on Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and how, hey, it all starts with each of us, right?
This has been fun.
It has been a lot of fun. And folks, again, the Digital Transformers version of the Buzz, which Kevin joins me, sometimes me and Greg and other friends, every second Monday of the month. So join us and catch Kevin's appearances. Also, you can catch Kevin in a lot of different places across the world of technology, including Digital Transformers, which is a wonderful podcast that we've been producing for a couple of years now. So Kevin, speaking of the future, sorry, that was a long segue. Speaking of the future, what can we expect when it comes to your popular series, Digital Transformers?
Well, we're back in the lab doing a lot of work right now. And, I'll be in San Antonio, Texas, in the next couple of weeks, working on a project, the National DigiFoundry, which is focused on the digitization of assets, and including the digital dollar that will be coming soon. And we could probably expect a story on that coming pretty soon. And our latest edition was about focusing on satellites in space, and how the space economy is changing the supply chain, that information supply chain. So stay tuned for new news on in those areas.
I love that. Going back to your first one, the digital dollar, we're talking about something that the U.S. government is creating and backing, right, Kevin?
Right, absolutely. So, I mean, the United States is strong from an economic point of view. Most of the economy, global economy, uses U.S. dollars. Is based on the use of U.S. dollars. I know you've heard of the petrodollar. That's because oil is pegged to the dollar.
Yep.
Well, as our global society transitions to the use of cryptocurrency and crypto securities, and in fact, the SEC, Securities and Exchange Committee, actually approved ETFs for exchange of Bitcoin just last week. So, in order to maintain the strength and the effectiveness of the U.S. dollar, the Congress and the U.S. government is considering deploying a digital dollar that also would be linked to the U.S. dollar. So, lots of change to deal with.
That is fascinating. I'll tell you, one reason 1,297 why I wish I paid more attention to math as a grade school student so I could crack those Bitcoin algorithms faster than anyone else out there. But hey, we'll save that to another time. All right, folks. Thanks for being here. Kevin, folks can probably track you down on LinkedIn, other social, and of course, they can find Digital Transformers.
LinkedIn,
wherever.
I'm on, everywhere. I'm on X, LinkedIn, I'm on Twitter. Oh, no, X. I'm sorry. I did say
X.
that, didn't I? I'm on Facebook, and I'm on the TikTok too. So
Kevin L. Jackson is everywhere, folks. It's everywhere. I always enjoy our conversations and our episodes together. All right, folks. So, Kevin, first off, again, thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your perspective and expertise. And
thank you for having me.
Show. All right, folks, as we start to sign off here today, I want to revisit the front end of our conversation because as you saw, even whether it's research that we tackled in the first story to what even our day-to-day experiences will tell us is that we live in a very friction-filled time, right? Our communities, our countries, the globe, filled with friction and many times can be dangerous friction. So in honor, of course, of what Dr. King would suggest, not only nonviolence, but also, hey, it starts with me, it starts with you. We make the decisions, whether we to be part, again, of the problem or the solution. So with that in mind, on behalf of our entire team here at Supply Chain Now, Scott Luton challenging you, hey, put it into action. Deeds, not words. Do good, give forward, and be the change that's needed. And we'll see you next time right back here at Supply Chain Now. Thanks, everybody.